we talked about, you know, our generation and the younger generation are facing the struggle of, gee, is it perhaps inevitable that I might need to leave this country or I might need to go somewhere? What's going to happen? And I was having this conversation with somebody recently where we were talking about like just the whole New York LA thing. And it's like when you go to New York or LA, you are essentially making this is the way they put it, you're making a bargain, which I think is a very good way to put it, where you're saying, I am going to deal with the insane high cost of living, make peace with the fact I may never buy a house, listen to the sirens. I can hear the sirens out your window.
I'm sorry.
No worries. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. But I mean, it just highlights what we're talking about. Like you take these trade-offs.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I'm going to deal with that. And not saying that it doesn't have its perks too. New York is an absolute wonderful city. LA is an absolute wonderful city. I have lots of love for both of those places. But there's certainly a lot of things you sacrifice to be there. You may never have a yard. You may never, just all these things. And for me, it's worth it. And for you, I'm sure it's worth it too. Or you wouldn't be there. Like neither of us would be.
Mm-hmm.
But now you kind of wonder, is that bargain still going to exist where it's like, okay, this place provides me with the resources and the potential to do something where nowhere else in the world really does. I mean, especially if you're talking like comedy, whatever. I mean, it's pretty much New York, LA, London.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the big, but as we enter a very digital age, more so than ever before, and as things are just straight up changing as far as how we are able to behave as a society. And the pandemic has kind of changed society permanently. What if that bargain doesn't exist anymore? I mean, first of all, do you think it will? Do you think that New York and LA will still remain the kind of capitals, so to speak? Or do you think that's just going to change completely?
I think that we are seeing a lot of move to suburbia. I know a lot of people that were on my campaign team, a lot of my fellow comedians, a lot of actors and stuff. There just hasn't been any kind of employment or way to stay here. They've lost their leases, they've moved. And like, what's it going to take for them to come back? They're not going to come back and without a job pay X thousands of dollars for rent. So I think like right now, the way to get people back and to bring back culture and to stop this like slow drift away from our cities is to lower rent and put into place protections that keep landlords from being as greedy as they are. But like my partner and I are leaving this apartment complex because they refuse to lower the rent, even though they're advertising the same size apartments at so much less than
Really?
current tenants are paying, which I think should be illegal.
Yeah.
Like basically existing tenants of all of these buildings that are here throughout New York City, we're getting screwed. And whenever it comes time that your lease is up, you have a choice to like pay a third of the cost to move across the river. A lot of people are moving to New Jersey right now, which I don't blame them. I am going to do everything I can to stay, but frankly, it's very hard.
Yeah. Do you think that they'll still be the production capitals?
I think so. I just don't know who else would have the infrastructure. Like, and
Good
also,
point.
I mean, like LA has all the studios and we have studios here and stuff, but I just think about like the talent has left or is leaving or is thinking about leaving or is trying really hard not to leave, but what's it going to take for people to want to move back here rather than live in middle New Jersey and commute here? Because we're losing a lot of working class people that really want to be here, and I don't see us taxing the rich and kind of redistributing that money and putting into place protections that we can stay here and not have to worry about being kicked out by exorbitant rent next year.
Right. Well, I think spreading out is completely inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're talking people going across the river to Jersey, I mean, yeah, like that, because that's been happening for a long time in general. I mean, that's been
Yeah.
happening. I mean, you look at the Bay Area. It's like they kicked the creative class out of San Francisco,
Yep.
so they went to the Bay Area. Now the Bay Area is getting too much, so everyone's going to Portland. I mean, that all that was going on long before this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been really exacerbated. I mean, it's just been really put on steroids as a
Yep.
result of the pandemic. So I think that is pretty much inevitable to an extent, because it's like people are going to want to stay in the area, but they're also going to be realizing that they might not need. I mean, especially here, like I live in an area that I never thought I'd be able to live in because of just, well, I need to be closer to this, and this. Well, that changed when my wife got a job in the area. So we were like, well, we should probably go out here. And B, so much is, digital now and on Zoom. And obviously that's going to change once things slowly reopen. But some of it's still going to remain, to the point
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, well, now I feel like I can just live in a place like this and be just fine, which
Yeah.
is actually great because I love my neighborhood. So I'm actually happy about that. But what I wonder in the big scheme of things, and I think you're probably right that, like, because of the infrastructure, it's not going to change completely. Like I think that's likely the case. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can I know that for sure? Well, no, I don't know that for sure. But I think, like, if that bargain doesn't exist anymore, then I'd really have to ask myself, well, why? I mean, is it really justified for me to stay here?
Yeah, and I think like the only real answer is to like right size the costs. And if our leaders don't do that, then they should expect a continuation of talent to leave. And I mean, like, artists and creatives are what make both of our cities the special places that they are.
Yeah.
Along with like very diverse cultures and I mean, there's a lot of really cool the food. There's a lot of stuff that brings people here, but like without the artists, I like what are LA and New York?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They're just really big places. They're just really big places.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make